Through the stories shared on the show, you will find real-life triumphs of adversity.
Triumph and adversity, inspiration and motivation.
Grab a hold of your life.
Grab a hold.
It's time to be determined to set your goals and achieve them.
Achieve your goals.
Set your goals high.
Set them high.
Reach for Mars. If you land on the moon, it's still a huge moral victory.
Reach for Mars.
Get ready to be inspired on The Determined Show, hosted by Mark Garman.
The Determined Show.
How's it going, everybody? Mark Garman here with Determined. We have a special guest for you tonight. As always, we got Andy Harrison all the way from across the pond in the United Kingdom. And just either way, he's from Australia. Either way, across the pond, Australia. It's still overseas. Either way, it's it's far away. It's overseas. But we also have a co-host, Dr. Olivo, in the house. So without further ado, we're gonna bring on Dr. Olivo. The audience already knows Dr. Olivo, so let's go ahead and bring Dr. Olivo on so we can say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
How's it going, bud?
I'm doing great. It's been a long day. Yeah. I'm happy to be on the show again.
Yeah. Hey, we're glad to have you as always, Dr. Leo. How's the new baby?
Growing fast. I'm enjoying every moment.
Yeah. That's awesome. Are you getting any sleep at night?
My wife is helping me get more sleep, and so she's the workhorse of the family on everything. So, but definitely a lack of sleep's part of our jobs.
Right. Yeah. With both of you guys being doctors, that's definitely the case for sure. All right, Dr. Levo, you ready to bring on the special guest here, Andy Harrison?
Definitely.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. Without further ado, drum roll, please. Here is Andy Harrison from Australia.
Good afternoon, everybody in America or whatever time zone we are talking now.
Yeah. We're both from California, Andy.
Okay, right.
Yep. So, Andy, why don't you go ahead and give the audience introduction of yourself?
I'm Andy Harrison. I'm 57 years old. And back in 1992, I was hit by a car at high speed and I suffered a brain hemorrhage. And I'd like to tell everybody how you can recover. I really would.
Awesome. Now, so you said that you suffered a brain hemorrhage and that you were hit by a car.
Correct. I was at the time I was an Ironman triathlete. I completed the Australian Ironman in 1992, but not fast enough to qualify for Hawaii. So I thought the following year would be better. Then one day, it was December, which is summer here. I was out at 3 p.m. in the afternoon when a car hit me from behind at an estimated speed of about 60 miles an hour. I was catapulted 18.5 meters, which is 60 feet to you, through the air, and I hit the road with enormous impact, obviously, and smashed virtually everything. It's a good job I was wearing my helmet at the time. Otherwise, my head would have exploded like that.
Oh, wow.
I've kept that ever since. And it was then I won the lottery of life. It was a quiet country road and there was virtually no traffic on it. And the first car that came along after about 2 minutes was a policeman. He was giving his friend a lift. He shouldn't have been there, but he was. Coming the other way was an off-duty paramedic going to fetch his child from kindergarten. He'd chosen the scenic route instead of the freeway. So within 2 minutes, they had a policeman there and a paramedic. The paramedic assessed the situation and said, air ambulance. The policeman had the means with which to call one. Yeah. So the helicopter was on its way within 5 minutes. Then another ambulance arrived with 4 paramedics, plus the Air Force Base sent their ambulance too. So I had a doctor and 5 paramedics working on me. And then the helicopter turned up, flew me to hospital. But all of them at the time, because there was blood running out my ears, everything like that, they all said he was going to die. And they all said, yeah, no, you're going to die. And I got to hospital and they said, you're going to die. Apparently there's 18 people awaiting my arrival in the emergency department. It was in the Alfred Hospital here in Melbourne, which has got one of the best trauma centres in the world. So consequently then I was operated on and everything like that. And they did scans on me. And I have the paperwork here. And apparently I had a 3mm brain tear in my brain. Now, 3 millimeters is about 1/8 of an inch. Now, it doesn't sound much, but if you had a tear in your arm or leg, it'd bleed a lot. Can you imagine what it's like in your brain? Well, it's enough to kill you. But I didn't die. For some reason, I believe now the brain is the best analytical instrument ever created. And I'm sure it assessed the situation and said, I don't need to die. All your life comes from the brain. I don't need to die. So I kept alive. And my parents lived in England at the time, and they flew them out from England to go to my funeral, which the Air Force organised.
Yeah.
And consequently, when they arrived, I was in a coma. I was in a coma for 4 days, and then I went into post-traumatic amnesia. And they couldn't believe what they saw when they came into the hospital. I was just a mess. Everything was broken. I broke both my legs, my ankle, my shoulder, all my hands, fingers in my hands, everything like that. And I became paralysed down my left-hand side due to the brain hemorrhage. And they all thought he's going to die, but they didn't ask me that.
No way, Jose.
I kept all the paperwork from then. I got the collision report, and yes, I flew 60 feet through the air. So you can imagine at the speed I was hit.
Yeah.
At the time, I was a keen triathlete, and I had the speedo on my bike. And at the time I was hit, I was doing about 40 kilometers, 24 miles an hour. So God knows what speed I hit the road at. But fortune looked favourable on me that day, and I got to hospital. I was in a coma, and then I came out of the coma, and I was in hospital for about 4 weeks. Then they decided I wasn't going to die. They sent me to rehabilitation, and they sent me to a rehabilitation centre who had never admitted anybody as bad as me. So they decided to make a video record from day one. And now, when I was discharged 1.5 years later, I sent it to a TV station who made a documentary about me. I've now put that on YouTube. It's called Can You Recover? It lasts 9 minutes, 40 seconds. So if anybody's interested, they can see how I look to them.
We'll go ahead and link that that video, that documentary, into the end of this video for you. All right, bud? So let's go ahead and ask Dr. Olivo here. I got a question for him. So, Dr. Olivo, how important was it for those people, the police officer and the off-duty EMT, to be there right after with how severe his injuries were, for them to be right there? Because he said he was on a desolate road. I mean, if nobody was there and the accident happened, and I mean, essentially, I would assume that he would have bled out, or to some degree, right?
Absolutely. You know, it's a matter of life and death at that point. And, you know, time is brain, as we've discussed in the past, when it comes to our brain being damaged and how long someone could go to the hospital. And for him, for example, it's probably in a barbiturate coma or some type of induced coma to allow his brain to have some recovery time and not swell up as much as well. And additionally, you know, all the fractures he had throughout his body, he probably lost a lot of blood. He probably got a lot of transfusions during his hospital stay. It's, you know, it's miraculous that, you know, he had some angels there that were looking after him, and that really, you know, allowed for all the different people to care for him. But as he mentioned, he was, I saw the video, by the way, and I so impressed for how much you recovered and to where you're at today. and where you were at that time. And I'll tell you, anyone that stays in the ICU for 4 weeks, their muscles just deteriorate altogether, become diffusely weak, and then you have all these fractures. You have brain damage. You have a hemorrhage. It's really severe, and with traumatic brain injuries, sometimes you don't know where someone's going to be at the very end of the injury when it comes to neurocognitive abilities, etc. Because we see a bleed, but also you see all these neural connections, also that biochemical synapses that also get affected as well. And so we might have a 3 millimeter bleed, but the whole entire brain essentially gets affected, and it could swell up. And our cranium's only so big and could allow for so much of that pressure. Someone could easily build up so much pressure that they could herniate and die. And so it's just amazing that he got to the right place, the right time. He had the right people around. And then his body, you could put two tissues together, but there's a healing power that's way beyond any of us that has to go on as well. And so it's a really miraculous story of where he was at and then where he's come, and having it documented is just phenomenal. And honestly, it's something to show other survivors and people in same circumstance. It could translate even to nowadays where someone might be in the ICU for four weeks with COVID, for example, and be severely deteriorated in their muscles. And if they survive, because majority at that point don't survive. If they survive, it's encouraging that they could rehabilitate themselves to that level. So I'm very impressed, very, very impressed.
Yeah,
thank you, Doc. Now, and you could probably answer a question. When I was knocked over, my ears burst and the blood poured out of them. Was that the body's way of releasing the pressure?
Well, it could have been a fracture that you had in their cranial base. You could have ruptured both of the tympanic membranes. It's very hard to tell what that was, but a lot of the times, the pressure's still building up, and so it's just a matter of time. So there's not a real clear mechanism right now that our body self-regulates our blood pressures when it's that catastrophic. We try to. Our bodies try to pump up blood pressures, try to do some auto-regulation type of things. However, when it comes to that severe of an injury, you really, really need medical intervention.
Correct. Like the barbiturate coma that you stated, right? And
yeah, barbiturate coma. Sometimes medications to decrease the swelling within the brain. All those different things come into play. Making sure someone is hemodynamically stable. Just the basic, what we call ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation, and medicine. And that's what the very first thing that they started in the field.
Talking of blood transfusions, I had about 2 liters a day. That's about 4 pints of blood a day. Where it was all going, I have no idea, but I was linked up to it.
What was the last thing that you remember?
I know my parents told me that. They came in and they saw all this machinery flashing and lights and everything like, and a blood bag hanging there. And I've got all the documentation here, there, everywhere of the accident. And yes, I was. I had 4 liters a day.
Yeah, last week I had on. I don't know if you watched it or not, but last week I had on Nicole, and she has a similar incident. She was in a car accident, and she didn't remember anything. 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks, but 2 weeks prior, might have been 2 weeks or 2 months prior to her accident, and then 2 or 3 weeks after her accident. She had no memory of that. So
I can remember about 2 minutes before the accident, because I was passing another Air Force base thinking, I've only got 3 miles to go. Then My next memory was about 3.5 months later. That would have to rate as the most bizarre experience in my life I'll ever experience. I came to and I didn't know where I was. And there were all these people there. And I was obviously lying down. So my brain recognized I was lying down. It presumed I was in my quarters on the Air Force Base. And I just didn't understand anything. And that memory, I can remember that now even. I can remember the faces in front of me. It's like one of those memories you get as a child. You can think of it. And it's just an imprint in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then memory starts to build up. I can remember seeing my mum and my dad. What are they doing here? And it's just so bizarre. I can't find words to describe it. All these years later, it was so bizarre.
Yeah.
I just couldn't comprehend. And then I started to put memories together, and I began to remember the days rather than just little incidents.
What was the hardest part of your recovery?
Pardon? So
what was the hardest part of your recovery?
Oh, the physio, because my legs hurt so much. There were screws in them and all kinds. And that hurt. And also the confusion in your own brain that's pretty daunting as well. But I had this mentality that I was not going to be broken. They used to tell me, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I thought, well, you watch me, I will do that. First of all, they said, I was talking about, I love running. I love fitness and running. And I was talking to this doctor. I said, when I can go running, she says, you don't know even if you're going to walk yet. I said, what are you talking about? I've run 5 marathons, I'll walk. And I was just so determined.
Right here. See that right there?
Yeah.
Boom.
Right. Yeah, there are no chance of telling me all these things because I'm going to listen. I will not be broken.
There you go.
And were you able to swallow or at that time, or were you?
No, for the first, I think 2 weeks, I was drip fed. They had a tube up my nose and I was drip fed. But after that, I began to swallow liquids and milk products and so on, so like that, milk drinks. But then when I got to rehab, I was eating.
Nice.
By the way, I dropped from to big world got to convert. I dropped to about 80 pounds. I guess my body just ate itself to keep alive.
Mm-hmm.
Your protein in your muscles is your body's preferred food rather than just your body fat stores. So I ate myself. And that's why I got into bodybuilding. So I'm never going to look like that again, ever.
No.
Never.
Now, who during that time frame, you spoke on, your mom and dad. So obviously they were part of it. Who else were your biggest supporters during that time frame?
All my friends from the Air Force Base, they all came to visit me regularly, and they were great assistants too. If it hadn't been for mum and dad, well, I would have been there on my own. They were accommodated at the rehab centre, which had built-in units, so they accommodated them there. And if they hadn't have been there, well, I would have had nobody all day. Because people just couldn't leave work and visit me, things like that. So yeah, my friends from the Air Force Base, they were good on weekends and evenings. But essentially, it was my mum and dad.
Yeah. So I don't think you stated, but how old were you when you suffered the stroke, Andy?
I was 30. I was 30. 30.
Yeah.
I got hit.
Okay, so you didn't quite. You mentioned a little bit that you were into fitness and whatnot, and so afterwards, you got into competitive bodybuilding, right?
In natural bodybuilding, yes. I don't take drugs or anything like that.
Huh?
Yeah, I did get into. I don't take drugs or anything like that. So I do natural bodybuilding, as it's called.
Yeah. So
I like to compete. I was never going to be a champion, but I like to have a go. And when I did come out, I ran a few races. I did one triathlon just to prove I could do it, and then I went down and saw an advert for a natural bodybuilding competition. So I thought, I'll go watch this. When I went, I thought, I'll have a go at this. So I've been competing ever since.
Now, so how long after your stroke did you start doing the bodybuilding and whatnot?
Well, they put me in the gym when I was in the rehab centre because I was so thin. But then I just carried on doing it, and I got into competitive bodybuilding in 2007.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
I'm still doing it today. I'd compete this year, but apparently there's a virus messing things up.
Yeah. That dang COVID always messes stuff up, man. Yeah. So you said natural bodybuilding, right?
Yes.
Now, do you take supplements?
Oh yeah, supplements are allowed, but you just can't take steroids and stuff like that.
Right. So speaking on that, I have a question here. This is for you, but this is also for Dr. Olivo. Yep. So I have a regimen in the morning, right?
Yeah.
My regimen in the morning is, and Dr. Olivo and I have already talked about this. It was kind of in confidence, but obviously it's not anymore. So my regimen in the morning is I go outside and I drink 2 cups of coffee and I smoke cigarettes, right? So we've talked about already how the brain is an amazing tool. So my brain expects every morning for it to receive caffeine and for it to receive a certain amount of caffeine and a certain amount of nicotine every morning.
This doesn't mean I condone it.
Right, exactly. Right.
That's number one. I want to make sure I say that.
Yeah. I already said that. You already kind of sold me on this already. I already said that. Right. So we're going to jump into my question here in a second. So a few days ago, we have a brand new baby ourselves. My baby is 3 months old. And so a few days ago, I was a little too loud in the morning. I get up pretty early. I get up about 6 o'clock for some reason every morning. And I was too loud in the morning and my baby woke up. And my wife said, I want to sleep. Come get this baby. So it interrupted my routine, so to speak. So I only had like a half a cup of coffee and probably like 1 cigarette instead of my normal, 4 or 5 that I have in the morning. Right. And I got a crazy migraine. And so my brain didn't receive the normal intake of caffeine and nicotine. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, man, what the heck is going on here? So this could probably apply to you as well, Andy, because you're taking supplements to work out. And these supplements have stuff in them to, that essentially go into your body. But also it has, chemicals and whatnot that go to your brain. So, Dr. Olivo, is this something that is a possibility? And if it is, do you guys have, as far as the medical community, do you guys have like, if something new pops up that, not saying that this is it or something you guys already know, but if something new pops up, do you guys like play the telephone game? Like, hey, I just figured out, a possibility that might be going on with your patients, hey, you email like 5 doctors, then they email like 5 more doctors, and then it gets out to the other communities.
Yeah, so there's a thing that we do is called sidewalk consults or curbside consults. And sometimes we'll get up the phone and call a doctor of somebody, that we have confidence in. And we'll call them and say, hey, I have a patient that has X, Y, and Z. What do you think, or how should I approach this situation? So we do that in a collegial manner. I recently started an application to help doctors communicate one-to-one in a very HIPAA-protected environment to communicate for those reasons, to help with patient care, help them within quote unquote between hospital lines. If they're in a different hospital or a different organization, they can feel confident with one another to be able to share ideas and also to help with patient care. But yeah, obviously most neurologists, almost every neurologist will say smoking's bad for you, right? there's no extra consultation. I'm sure you don't smoke for a bodybuilder.
No, I've never ever smoked. Never tried one. Never even tried one. It kept me alive.
Yeah, so we got some work to do on our host, but so hopefully you'll help me out.
Yeah.
Well, but so Andy, like, you take your supplements, right?
Yes.
So do you find, like, if you don't follow your daily routine of taking these supplements, do you find that like a headache or a migraine comes on?
No, I don't. My supplements are not stimulants like yours, like nicotine and caffeine. They're stimulants. Mine aren't. They're just amino acids, and they're just absorbed into my body. No problem. So if I miss them, well, the body doesn't recognise that. It doesn't make any response.
So what type of supplements?
For a while, I did from migraine headaches. Maybe that's got something to do with having a brain hemorrhage, because the only way that I'd finish it, they make me sick. I'd be vomiting. That was the only way they'd finish. But then my doctor put me on a new drug, and that cures them. I've never had one since for 8 years now. Never had a migraine, so I'm pretty pleased about that. Yeah.
Yeah, migraines are something that can happen after a traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic headaches. Definitely are very common with concussions or any type of head injuries, especially because of the irritation around the blood and what we call the meninges are very sensitive structures within the brain. So it's very, very common complaint, and sometimes it's very hard to treat too.
I'd never had one before. Never ever suffered a migraine before. Then all of a sudden they appeared.
Yeah, and that's
very common too.
Yeah, and that's very atypical for the normal migraine story, right? The normal migraine story is earlier ages and that get migraine, but definitely yours is probably a variant because of your history.
Yes. Yeah, I'd never suffered before, and then all of a sudden they appeared, but they've gone now.
Besides amino acids, do you take any vitamins or special nutrition?
Yeah. I take vitamin D and tyrosine and or a multivitamin tablet. I'll usually take them in the middle of the night too. That's one thing I can't do, sleep through the night. I'm awake about midnight, so I get up and I have my pills then, because I've got this idea that my body has nothing in the stomach and they can be absorbed better. So I take my pills in the middle of the night.
And how does your diet consist of? Is it mostly proteins or is it
protein and proper meat. I don't buy supermarket meat. I buy it from a butcher, and it's real quality. I eat everything. I never put any grams of fat on, and I eat quinoa. I don't have usually products made with wheat like flour, pasta, rice. I go with quinoa from South America, and that's a real good protein source. So it all helps.
I think that's
still find it hard. Still find it hard. My body metabolism is pretty quick, and it gobbles everything up all the time. So yeah, mostly protein.
That diet and low in starches really helps the body maintain its nutrients.
That's right. Yeah. I don't have starches much at all, and I don't drink alcohol. After I came out of the rehab, I had a few beers and that. But then one day, it affected me so bad, I thought, what are you doing? You've got a brain hemorrhage and you're putting fluid into it that affects your brain. So, that was 1997. Since then, I've never drank alcohol ever. I won't ever do it again now. With a brain hemorrhage,
I think Mark's going to switch his story after this conversation, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Olivo. I never said that. Let's pull up that video, Mark. Let's pull up that video.
Yeah.
Right.
So anybody who's had a stroke or a brain injury out there, don't drink. It's just not worth it.
No.
It's just not worth
Absolutely.
it.
So Andy, why don't you dive a little bit more into, because I didn't really touch on it in the beginning. I do these shows. I try to bring on guests that people can connect with, you know, so a lot of people, you know, probably have, you know, suffered a stroke from a car accident, you know, being in a car accident like last week's guest. So why don't you share with the audience how you got to into competitive bodybuilding, and if you want to throw in a flex, you know, we would appreciate that too.
You can do that. You can do that. Well, like I said, because I went down to 43 kilos, which is 80 pounds. I said, I'm never going to look like that again. So I went to the gym regularly, and I was in pretty good shape. And then I stumbled across this association, which was natural bodybuilding. So I'll have a go at that. I always like to go in fun runs and races and triathlons and stuff like that. So it was a competitive arm I could do. So I followed all the dietary requirements, and I looked pretty good and went along and won a few competitions. Unfortunately, they had a division called Physically Challenged, which was for anyone with a disability or who had suffered injuries. So that was right up my street, and I got into that. And since they started that division, I haven't been beaten. So I'm pretty pleased with myself doing that.
Nice.
I also found that any type of physical exercise is good for the brain. Seriously, it's good for the brain. It is. I don't know why, but it is. Maybe you're pumping up nutrients. I don't know what, but it's good. It's good for it. Rather than just sitting down and watching television, forget that. You've got to get out and do it.
Right. You're absolutely right. For what we call brain health, it's the cornerstone of keeping our brains healthy. It's physical exercise. The other component you touched on was nutrition. One component that you need to work on is sleep. The brain activity that we do on a daily basis. But we all have to work on these things, you know, and that's really going to help us when it comes to longevity with our brains. And you know, I have colleagues at Loma Linda, Dr. Scherzey's. They've done so many different research projects on how these different entities help with preventing things like Alzheimer's. And so it's the cornerstone of our healthcare is really taking care of our minds, our bodies, with what we eat, how we sleep, how we exercise.
Yes, it's all linked. It's all linked. What you eat, what you sleep, everything you exercise, it's all linked. It all goes towards contributing.
What do you do to keep your brain active? What type of activities?
Usually puzzles and things. If you go on the internet, you find loads of brain teasers and tests and things. And I do memory tests. There's always memory tests to find on the internet. And I've got this idea that provoking it to remember things helps. It all helps to build new neurons and connections and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. The other cornerstone is social engagement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well,
I was in the Air Force when I got hit, and now I get a military pension. So there exists a military pensions association, which I'm a member of, and we have social clubs. So that's my social interaction. I go and see them, and they're all people who I can relate to. So it all works out well.
Excellent.
Hey, Mark, you said a flex. I'll have to do this.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it.
I've got it in the camera.
Wow.
Woo! Nice. Turn it over. We can't see it, man. You weren't in the view. We got to see the bicep. Bring it over. Bring it over more. Bring it over. Bring it over. Ah, nice. Is that the affected side?
Is that the
affected side?
No, left hand side.
There we go. Nice. Nice.
That was the affected side. Come here, I can't move that. See?
Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome, man.
All natural.
Yeah, all natural. And so you said that that you've never been beaten on the in your competition.
In the physical challenge division, no.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because I compete against people who are disabled.
Right.
Some are worse than me. Mind you, They say they're worse than me, but I suffer pretty severe injuries. So I'm pleased with myself with getting back to where I am.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something to, be proud of, especially everything that you went through.
Yeah, the Air Force planned my funeral. That was all organised, everything like that. So I was essentially dead, but I'm not now. I'm back to life.
I see you right there, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm back to life now.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 57 now.
57. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
That's another thing. I also drink in the middle of the night. Colloidal. Have you ever, Mark, a doctor, colloidal minerals? Somebody once told me it stops your hair going grey. So I thought, I'll try this stuff. I've drank it ever since. So all the pills I take in the night, I wash them down with colloidal. And it's not dyed hair. Hey, Mr. Vanity. So you can call him Mr. Vanity.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's obviously that's a whole different topic. It's minerals and supplements and proteins and what people eat, all natural food sources, organic versus non-organic, and obviously social economical factors that play a role in that as well. So that's definitely a big role in our health and taking care of our bodies, is making sure that we put the right things in it. And our bodies really need the right information in it, the right food source in it to optimize itself. And it's challenging. It's challenging for most Americans here, that's for sure.
You will have heard the saying, "You are what you eat," and it's true. You are what you eat. If you put rubbish into you, well, what can you expect? If you put good stuff into you, well, it's a lot better. A lot better.
No. Now we got a few people saying hi to everybody, so let's go ahead and recognize who we got.
Okay.
We got some weird lady here saying hi to Dr. Olivo. And again, she's saying hi to Andy. That's my wife. That's my wife.
She's watching, yeah.
Yeah. So we have Naomi here saying hi.
Hi, Naomi.
Yep. Jerry saying hi to everyone. And Don over here. Thank you each, and especially Dr. Olivo, for bringing your expertise to stroke viewers like myself. It's awesome to see this. Just awesome.
Hello,
my
Don.
pleasure.
Yeah. So
that's just one thing I'm glad I'm able to do now. Tell everybody about my experiences, because maybe it motivates people. I hope it does. That's what the intention is. Motivate people and tell them nothing's finished. You can progress. You just work on your brain, you can progress.
Yeah, that's something we definitely touched on last time Dr. Olivo was on the show, is, that, a lot of people are told that they plateau. And that's something that we touched on last time. And, obviously, were you ever told that you have plateaued in your recovery?
No, I was never told. I wouldn't believe them anyway.
Right.
I'm still going forward. Now then, Doc, you can answer this, but when you close your eyes and go to sleep, it's all dark. Well, there was times when I have had huge blue lights flashing and everything, and what I thought it may be was new connections forming in my brain, because the following day I could do something that I couldn't previously do. Like my left side, I could never coordinate the lifting like that. But I had these flashes in my brain, and then the next day everything's going up together. Would that be correct?
Well, I don't know if those flashes are directly correlated or how those flashes started, but we know that our body does do a miraculous thing. Our brain does form new connections. You were very young when you had this as well, so your brain was able to make some connections, new connections, formulate older connections that might have not been used optimally. And whether those lights are directly correlated is hard to tell. And I'd be a billionaire right now if I could give everybody those lights for recovery, right?
I make a pill. Yeah, I'll take this pill, you'll be fine. You're rolling in money.
There's no magic pill for that determination that someone has. And we see this with, I see it with a lot of sports players, people that have been in professions where they have gone through different sports competitions where they're very determined to get back where they were. Also, the supporting cast around them, family that's not really giving up on them and also pushing them along the way. And also, the other supporting cast around them is their therapy and the physiotherapy support groups around them. That's a huge motivation factor. I know Nicole was talking to us last time how her therapist just put her on a treadmill and basically hold her on a belt and was telling her to run and run. And she barely could run, but that was kind of motivating, just feeling like you were getting back to walking again and moving those legs. It's so encouraging, rather than someone 4 weeks after a hospital stay, someone just putting them to the side and not working with them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's huge.
I can remember learning to walk again. They said you've got to learn to walk. I thought, rubbish, I'm a regular runner. I always have to learn to walk. They put a brace on my knee and said, okay, stand up. I couldn't even move, couldn't even stand up. So eventually I had to learn to walk, and that was bizarre. Yeah, that's another strange thing, learning to walk again.
So you said yours happened in 97, right?
Just the brain at work. What's going on here? I couldn't understand it. But I got the hang of it. So
you have
go ahead.
Do you have a trach afterwards?
Yeah, I did. Yes, yeah. It's healed up pretty well. You can hardly see it. Can't see yours, not.
I got the beard in the way.
Mine healed up okay. What some people I've seen, they're like Frankenstein's monster. Huge things across here with stitch marks. Awful. Mine were fine. Healed up okay.
Yeah, mine happened in 97 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
You had a trachea.
Yeah, I had my whole brain. Yeah, I had a trach as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so you started out with the parallel bars and then the walker and then the wide base 4-prong cane, small base 4-prong cane.
First of all, it was walking rails. I hobbled along those, and eventually I was able to let go. Balance was a great thing. It was affected with me. I couldn't balance for ages. Now I've got one of those boards that you stand on and with a concave ball underneath, and I use that every day just to try and improve my balance.
Wow.
I think everyone around your age should start doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think everyone sometimes should feel like they are still trying to optimize their personal situation. And the thing that you're doing is right now using bodybuilding to do that. But essentially, at the age of 57, we're not getting any younger. And we have to optimize our brains, our bodies, and make sure we're doing the right things and challenging ourselves physically and mentally.
Yes, I quite agree. Because old people always falling over, breaking the bones and arms and legs. So if I can prevent that, I will. You've got to do it.
Absolutely. One of my biggest recommendations I see a lot of patients with neuropathy, polyneuropathy, with a bunch of nerve damage in their feet, and it could be from various reasons. Obviously, diabetes is one of the most common reasons, but you could have sensation problems centrally from a stroke, also peripherally from something like diabetes or other things that cause neuropathy. And balance is a huge factor. So being able to get your balance centers. So I do all types of recommendations for my older population when it comes to Tai Chi, doing senior yoga type of activities. It's very vital to know where our balance is too. Sometimes you don't know how bad it is till someone tests it.
Yes, that's quite right. Yeah. I've seen uninjured people try my balance board, and they're hopeless. They realise how bad their balance is.
There's no way I could do it. Absolutely not.
So is your balance board a wooden one or is it a dome?
Wooden one with a dome underneath. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah. Yes, wooden one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think probably like 60% of the population could do that anyways, even if they didn't have it.
Right, yeah. Because you don't use it. You don't need to every day until you need it. Then it all of a sudden becomes really, really important.
Yeah.
As you get old, as you know, Doc, you're going to fall over a lot more.
Yeah.
Potentially. So if you can avoid it, do it. So that's another thing I think my gym helps with, strengthening my legs and arms and all my body. As long as I can keep strong.
How many hours do you do for strengthening and the other for aerobic exercise?
It varies. If I've got a competition coming up, well, I'll be in the gym 4 days a week. But if I haven't, it could be 2, 3. Then swimming, because my legs got injured, my knees, especially my knees, I don't do running anymore. I rather do my swimming because it's weight bearing. The water base bears my weight, so I'm okay. But gym wise, at the moment, I'm in there every day because we're on just coming out of lockdown. So I've been in there every day. It's something to do.
Yeah. Now, how often are your competitions? Do you have them? Huh?
They're structured. The association structure them so that they're every 6 months.
Nice.
Occasionally, you'll get, say, a championship a couple of months afterwards, but usually it's every 6 months. April and October.
Yeah. So is it something that you have to like work your way up in the ranks, or are they just boom, it's a competition and then you either win or place, or how does it work?
Yeah, you join and you go on to a competition. You either win or you place. But initially, people who are just starting out, they don't get anywhere because they're too new at it. It's like trying to play football with just a couple of games behind you, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have to progress generally through the ranks. Right. You see some people come along and they don't get anywhere and they say they just pack in. And then the other people stick at it, and then within a couple of years, they're doing well.
Yeah. So
things like that.
So are you number one in the world, or what?
I'd like to try and bottle my determination and sell it because it would make me a lot of money.
There you go.
That's right.
So are you number one in the world then, or what?
Actually, yes. I won the world championship for the past 2 years.
Nice.
In Las Vegas in November. Guess what? It's cancelled. Yeah, no world championship this year. It was to be in Las Vegas, but cancelled. Unfortunately, we'll work something out next year, though.
Wow. Yeah. So cancelled, postponed, or just what is
cancelled? Cancelled. This year's cancelled. Is off the agenda. It won't happen. Too much virus spreading around. So Australia's borders are closed at the moment. You can't fly in or out. So we can't go anywhere at the moment.
Yeah.
We're in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally thought that you were from the United Kingdom. So have you seen my other Australian?
I was born there, Mark. I was born in the United Kingdom. I came to Australia on a working holiday when I was 24. I came for 6 months. And I lived at Bondi in Sydney, right by the sea. And I got up every morning. There was sun, sand, and surf. I thought, this is heaven. Then I phoned my mum in England. She says, it's snowing. I said, see ya. And they went back. That's true.
So I've had 2 guests from Australia on here.
Sorry, Mark, you got?
I've had 2 guests from Australia.
Yeah. So I stayed here, became an Australian citizen, joined the Air Force, and did 7 years in the Air Force, and then got knocked over. And since then, there you go.
There it is. Now you're solid. Now you're a solid rock star. You paved a path.
Yeah, you paved a
path for other people to follow, man.
That's right. And last year, sorry, in 2018, it was the Invictus Games. You've heard of those for injured servicemen. The Americans sent a rather large team across, and I managed to give my talk there. I used my video to give a talk, and I gave my talk there a couple of times, and that all went really well. So I still try and spread the message that nothing's finished. We can all progress.
Yeah.
You know that, wouldn't you, Mark? You
yeah.
progress. How many children you got now? 4?
Four
There you
kids.
go. Yeah, that's right. And when your injury happened, what did they say? You were finished?
Yeah, they pretty much told my parents. Yeah. Yeah.
So nothing is finished.
No.
Don't believe the doomsayers.
No.
Listen to yourself.
It's all in here, man.
It is. Yes, that's right. Yeah. But I can't work out how you get that. What instills it into you? Is it your upbringing or what? Now you could answer a bit better on that, Doc. Is it your upbringing or what instills determination into you?
That's a very deep question right there. It's a very deep question because determination, some other language in Spanish, they call it ganas. It's what, or grit, you could use it, a different type of, that comes from within. And sometimes a person could be placed on this world that didn't have the best upbringing, and they still have that determination factor. So part of it can be from an upbringing, someone that showed you it. Sometimes it could be innate, meaning that it's just instilled in you. And definitely, sometimes some people can be helped to be determined as well. And so I think that's very important. I think special people like yourself and Mark, that's what you're doing on these shows, is helping other people that might feel discouraged at this time be a little bit determined. Pick them up a little bit, push themselves a little bit, eat a little bit better, stop smoking. But essentially keep on pushing yourself to better yourself every day. And so, what you're doing and what you're showing, putting it to that level of reaching national achievements, it's just phenomenal. And that speaks to a whole new level of what you're doing and sharing your story with us. And it's marvelous. I can't speak more of how this show can possibly impact others, not just stroke patients or traumatic brain injury patients, but translate for every individual that needs some help, whether it's aging problems, etc. So keep up the positive message that you have for everyone. I sure pick up on one thing at least every time I talk to a patient or talk to someone on this show, to help me as a physician be better. I think as a physician, we prescribe medications, we do traditional medicine, but sometimes we just got to sit down and listen. And one advice that one of my mentors told me is, if you don't have time to cross your legs and look someone in the eyes, and we're doing something wrong. Obviously, during this time, during telemedicine, it's kind of hard for me to cross my legs, and you guys know it, but we really do have to have that communication, that bond between patients, that trust factor, to be able to work every day to better one another to achieve our goals. And people are all different positions, but I think someone out there is going to listen to this message and hopefully get a little bit motivated. They might not be a bodybuilder after this, but hopefully they might hit the gym or eat really good nutritionist products out there and put really good supplements in their bodies, etc.
Or learn to walk a little bit better, or whatever. Whatever's affecting them, it can be overcome. But I have to agree with you, Doc. Determination is innate. You're born with it. You can't learn it or anything like that. You're just born with it. I'm sure, yeah. Unfortunately, there's no pill you can take.
Not The red pill or the blue pill? No.
Yeah.
No. People often ask you, what pills do you take? Well, I don't take any medicine. The ones I have are just bought from the health food shop.
Yeah.
Supplement. I don't. As you know, Doc, there's nothing you can give for a brain hemorrhage, is there? Apart from your painkillers for your headaches and things like that. Nothing you can give. Nothing generates new brain cells.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes I had a patient not too long ago that was in the ICU for quite a while, and we switched his medication regimen because he just was not responding and showing any signs of rehabilitation, and he was already in his 70s or 80s. And a lot of times, sometimes we tend not to favor things when people are older, but we still got to give everyone a fighting chance. I really truly believe that, and we try our best of our abilities to give someone a fighting chance, and we switch their regimen around and we get some response. Physical therapists get excited because they see some response and they get motivated and they try to push it's just this beautiful thing when you start seeing the whole medical group get very motivated when a patient starts moving a hand, starts moving something. It's very, very encouraging. And sometimes it's just time. You just got to sit down and just let God do his job as well. And it takes some time.
I'm sure it does. That's one of the things I couldn't understand, why all the rehabilitation staff paid so much attention to me. And now I realise what you just said. It's because I was making progress and it inspired them. Look what he can do now. Fantastic. Couldn't do that a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And, as I already stated, that's exactly why I bring on people on the show, because, as both of you guys stated, the therapists, doctors get excited seeing the progress, and that's what I want the viewers to see too. They went through something similar that my guests have gone through, and I want them to be excited too and know that they're not in their current state or in their current circumstance and be like, wow, you know what? If Andy can get through it, if Andy can excel in his therapy, you know what? So can I. Let's go. So.
Yeah. That's why, Mark, if you put the link to my video, people will be able to watch me at 43 kilos in post-traumatic amnesia. Didn't know where I was or anything like that. Now look at me. They can do it too. Just have to be determined.
Heck yeah, right there. Boom.
Yep. Anything is possible.
It is. You just got to
put your mind to it.
Yep, put your mind to it. Now, Andy, do you have any concluding thoughts for the community?
All I could say is anything is possible. Just put your mind to it and think about it and don't listen to all doomsayers. You can do anything. That's what I'd like to say. Anything is possible.
There you go. How about you, Dr. Olivo?
Well, I follow that as well. It's been a hard week for me personally because sometimes you could do everything and still lose someone, and that they fought their heart out as well, and everybody around them. So if you have the opportunity and the chance, such as you did, and such as Mark, you got to take the opportunity. You got to be determined. You got to take that opportunity because not everyone gets it. So you got every day that you have that chance is a phenomenal day, and you got to take that opportunity. So, I lost, one of my friends from high school. He passed away this week, and that guy had the heart of stone, and I know one of the most determined people that I knew growing up. And I was shocked when I woke up the other day, and then I've had patients as well, and it really affects doctors sometimes. It's people think we're made of stone sometimes, and it's really hard. I come down, and I'm lucky I have a wife that relates a lot to me. But when we come to each other, we look at each other, and she's like, "Yeah, you had a bad day. I could tell." I was like, "Yeah, this was a hard one." And then we hear stories like yourself, and that motivates us. That really, really encourages us as well. That makes us be determined as well. So again, what you guys are doing is helping us as well, and is motivating the workforce and the team around you. And praises to you, and keep up the motivation for yourself and for everyone